will the meaning be to you to see this memorial come to fruition?
We have an obligation and responsibility to law enforcement, to families, to the state of Texas, to do the very best we can to honor and recognize those individuals who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And for us to not to do that would be an injustice to those individuals.
Every day, Texas State Troopers, DPS Special Agents, and Texas Rangers risk their lives to protect others from a variety of different threats, and they do so with selfless dedication. And it's important to remember that selfless dedication sometimes comes with sacrifice. In fact, it always comes with sacrifice, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice. And the idea that this agency, we've lost so many over so many years, and we've done such a great job in terms of protecting Texas, that we recognize our men and women and their families for the sacrifice that they made is important.
I always say behind every DPS Trooper, Special Agent, Texas Ranger is a courageous family that supports us or so that we can then provide service to this great state.
A lot of my sculptures tend to try to capture a moment and you've walked up upon something. I did a fireman's memorial where the firefighter is breaking through a door with a baby in his hand and the door's on fire still, right? So that memorial is a snapshot of a moment, and that piece is called Moments of Valor. And so coming into this piece, I thought, we're trying to memorialize the fallen officer, the history of the Rangers and the DPS, where we've started and where they're going. And so I thought it was important to respect the fact that this is about a fallen officer. And so the idea initially came to me of who is that first fallen officer and what would that gravestone look like if we could find it. And so through the research, we found out that that was Moses Hornsby, 1836. And so I created a composition of a modern day DPS trooper coming upon this grave and realizing that this is the first officer who died in the line of duty, and this modern day officer is hundreds and hundreds of officers later standing in the same place, willing to sacrifice the same thing. And so I wanted to capture that moment of honor and somber reflection, and that's really what drove that initial central piece.
We realized back then that our current existing memorial was not up to par. It was somewhat dilapidated. It was not very large. It did not have the existence of the Texas Rangers who had passed away in the line of duty from 1823 to its existence. And we realized that that was not the direction we need for such an important component as a memorial. So we decided, how can we move forward to do a better job?
So when we were at Marble Falls and they were doing the initial block drop, if you will, we got to be there as they had almost released a 1 million pound block. And so we got there, we got set up, we got the cameras rolling, and then they showed us how they slowly put these metal balloons in the cracks, and they fill them with water and press the whole side of the mountain off, and so we got some really cool footage of that 1 million pound block falling, and then got to go and actually stand on top of it and see where the pieces of stone were going to be cut from.
As chairman of the DPS Foundation, what has been your greatest satisfaction thus far?
I think knowing that we're making a difference, knowing that we're making the difference in an organization that gives so much. I mean, it's hard for a normal citizen of Texas to look at DPS and truly understand the sacrifices that are being made, the things that these men and women go through on a daily basis. and then to be in a position where we can make a difference and help. It may be a small thing, but I think it's that support, it's that that foundational giving back to those who have done so much that's meaningful to me. And that's why, if I spoke for all members of the executive committee and the board, that's why we do it. We're here to be able to help and assist when a little help and assistance is needed.
So Cold Springs has been mining the Texas Red Sunset for, I think, about as old as the Texas Capitol is. And we've worked with them, for probably 20 years. So we knew when the project came about that we were going to be working with Cold Springs again on this. Their process is, completely different than our process. Our process is a lot of additive, and their process is mostly subtractive. And it was, really kind of eye-opening to realize that we were going to have to quarry over 1 million pounds of stone to get the 300,000 pounds that we used to make the monument. We had the opportunity to go to Minnesota and see what they were doing when they were actually taking those huge 60,000 pound blocks and carving them down to the pieces specific to the job. And so that was amazing to see the size of their operation, to see their equipment, to see their tooling. And then when it came time to actually put the names on the blocks, we got to see that process, and that's all hand sandblasted into those blocks, one name at a time. And that in and of itself is just a labor of love and patience and persistence. And so, again, years of work cutting all the stone and getting it ready to be here today as we're nearing completion. And so that's just a really amazing process that they have.
I think the most important part would be two-pronged. One is to commemorate the 200 years of service by the men and women of the Texas Rangers to the citizens of the great state of Texas. And two would be to educate the public on who the modern day Rangers are, what we're made up of, what our backgrounds are, everything from ranching and professional rodeo cowboys to military officers and PhD holders.
In closing, I just want to thank the DPS and the Texas Rangers and all the people on the committee over the years who've helped make this happen, specifically Lamar Beckworth and Russell Molina. I think were integral in making this, one in the original vision with Lamar, and then actually pushing it through to completion with Russell. I think it's been an amazing opportunity to get to know the history and work with all the individuals and go to all the different events. And so I'm just extremely honored to be at the end of this project and have completed something this amazing.
I will tell you, they're a legacy of heroes, of which we should be forever indebted to. So we owe them our best effort. We owe them a wall of honor, a place of honor, not only for them, but for the families who have sacrificed just as much. We protect and serve, but in that comes sacrifices. And those sacrifices are borne by every spouse, every child, every family member. The greatest responsibility we have to our citizens as Texas Rangers and as department employees is trust. We got to have trust by the community. The citizens are the police are the citizens. But at the same time, for our Texas Rangers, it's far beyond the nice hat, the gun, the badge. It's the courage, the character, the integrity that brings the reputation of the Texas Rangers to the front.